Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Non-League Nothing Natter, um, which this week comes in the middle of an international break, which is usually a boost for non-league football, as a lot of the local fans of professional clubs look to get the football fix. Um, yeah, a boost for us as well. 4 games to talk about this week. Well, 3 in depth. um, 2 for myself, 1 for Andrew. So yeah, that's where I think we'll kick off with the first of my 2, if that's okay, and you can
Go
sandwich
for it.
yours in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah. So Saturday, uh, for me, original plan was, as always, for me to watch Tiverdale. Supposed to be at home to Northwich Victoria, but unfortunately, a lot of rain, a lot of heavy rain over Friday night, so to the end of that. So that was called off again. So we took a look at the games that were on and decided to go to watch another Midland League Football League Premier Division match between Darlaston Town and Dudley Town. Uh, yeah, interesting game. Darlow won it in the end, 3-2. Um, their pitch looked good from the side. Apparently, talking to a couple of people, it looked better than it was. Was the bottom corner, one corner was a concern to the extent where, as the teams were lining up to come out at the start, the referee said to the 2 captains, if you get a corner in that corner, as long as you 2 agree to it, I'm happy for you to take it in the other corner.
Oh dear.
Yeah, which I've got to say, in my 20 odd years of being involved in football, that is the first time I've ever heard that. um, but yeah, funnily and interestingly enough, there was corners taken from that corner, so either they
Oh,
forgot or just decided it's not as bad as it was being made out. Um, but yeah, entertaining game. Very quick start. Dudley could have been 1-0 up after the first couple of minutes. Ball played across the box, just missed the outstretched striker who was sliding in. And then Darlow did take the lead after 5 minutes. Bit of a scramble in the box before eventually it was smashed in. Yeah, then after that, it was just a bit of a battle until there was a free kick given to Dudley, when which was, it's a strange one defensively for me. The wall, the 10 yard for the wall was just about half a yard outside the 18 yard or outside the box.
mhm.
And Darlow's defence decided to hold their line on the 18-yard line. But it was out wide-ish on the right, so what that did, it allowed the free kick taker to whip the ball in around the wall and the forwards
Mhm.
just to run onto it and head it in.
Yeah, right.
So from my point of view as a goalkeeper, that, for me, your defensive line should be on you. It should be on your penalty spot, because that kind of takes that option away.
Yeah.
The way the defence is done, that ball was only ever going to go one place, and it's where he's put it. He's whipped it around the wall.
Yeah.
That immediately puts your defence on the back foot because they're running towards their own goals. Where even if they do win it, the chances it goes off them and goes in anyway.
Yeah.
But interesting, cool.
So
But
who
yeah,
was at fault there, in your opinion? Was the goalie at fault for not organising his wall properly, or were the defenders at fault for just being in the wrong place? Or
um, I don't know from Darlow's point of view who makes that call.
right?
If it was me personally, I would be telling my coaches that I'm the one who makes that call.
Yeah.
But I don't know who. I don't know if it's the centre half that makes that call or the goalkeeper. And it was the goalkeeper's debut for Darlow as well. So I don't know who made that call.
Right. Okay.
Um, but if it had been me playing, even if it was my first game, I would be going, I'm the one who makes that call.
Yeah.
But games moved on a little bit since I've played, so I can't, like as I say, I can't really comment too much.
Mhm.
And then Darlow did retake the lead just before half time, but I can't remember what happened.
Well, at least you know there
But
was a
either way,
goal. Better than I managed.
yeah, yeah. But either way, Darlow went in 2-1 up at half time, and on the balance of play, Darlow probably did deserve to be 2-1 up at half time. That was a much better team in the first half. And I don't think there would have been many complaints from Dudley being behind at the break. The second half, complete opposite. Dudley completely dominated. I wouldn't say completely dominated, but they were the better team, better chances. Whether there was something in them saying about that corner, because that was the corner that Darlow were defending in the second half, and Dudley in the first, and maybe there was more to it than we could see from the side of the pitch. But yeah, Dudley stepped up and eventually got their rewards with a penalty. It was clear penalty. Yeah, no complaints from Darlow or anything. Bit of a rash challenge from the defender. No need to make it. Lunged in when the Dudley player's going nowhere and he's going away from goal. But yeah, nice penalty, equalised. And then the game came a little bit frantic. And both teams trying to win it. I would say it evened up a little bit more. Darlow probably having slightly better of the play. And then I think it was 1 minute into added time. A break down the right, looks to cross it in and strikes the Dudley player's arm, and we got 3 points in the spot. It's one of those, from where I was standing, it looked like his arm was outstretched, and it's a penalty in today's day and age of the rules of your hand's not in a natural position. It was close. He was a yard and a half away, but you know the rules now. You've got to move. You see it all the time with the fullbacks putting their arms behind the back. That's, for me, in that position, that's what you should be doing nowadays.
Yeah, but
then I've seen it from but then I've seen it from another angle where it looks incredibly harsh. But
yeah,
it's one of those. And then to add to the confusion, the referees pulled out a second yellow and a red card for the defender, which I was under the impression now, unless it was deliberate, after giving away a penalty, you wouldn't be punished with a yellow card. So whether he said something, I don't know.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. Very, very good possibility, because Dudley were onto the referee from minute one.
Right.
Disappointed if that is what the second yellow was for, that he's took to the 91st minute to decide to do it, because he had plenty of opportunities throughout the game to stop it earlier with other players. But yeah, then Darlow stepped up and scored the winning penalty.
Right.
Dudley then did finish with 9 men, as the referee did decide to sin someone in the 95th minute, which point I think, well, that's pointless, you might as well just book him.
Yeah. At that point, yeah.
Yeah, at that point, there's 2 minutes of your added time left, or a minute, because I think he added 6 on, and you're sin binning someone for a minute. Just at that point of the game, it's like, normally I would sin bin you, but given the time in the game, I've got no choice but to issue a caution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dudley finished with 9 men. I think I'll be disappointed to have lost it, but unfortunately, with them being where they are in the table, that's the kind of look you get when you're there in that end.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes
those
things just
little
go against you, don't they?
decisions. Yeah, those little benches, those little decisions, the rub of the green just seems to go against you. Been there and done it with TV. It's unfortunate, but Dudley are a good side. They try and play the football. Well, they do play some good football. I'd be very surprised if they're still in the bottom two come the end of the season.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to move on and discuss,
I didn't go to a game on Saturday because I was busy doing other things at the weekend. So I went out last night. Here's in step 2 again, National League South this time. Hemel Hempstead against Bath. Hemel Hempstead Town are currently 14th, Bath City currently 3rd in the table. And so I call this a history match because Hemel are called the Tudors and Bath are called the Romans. So there we go. It's the match of the Battle of the Histories. So anyway, the game got off to a very, very frantic start. Bath were at it right from the off. They were absolutely banging on the door right from the first minute. 4 minutes in, they managed to smack the post. And Hemel just looked completely shell-shocked. I mean, there was a player for Bath. I didn't know his name at the time. I just called him Tricky. He was their number 7. He was a left winger, but he was all over the front line. And my God, he could play the ball. He had all the tricks. 10 minutes in, 5 defenders combined to foul him just on the top of the area. Bath had a free kick. Yeah, it took 5 of them to get the ball off him, and then the only way they managed to get the ball off him was to hack him down. So they had the free kick, and it was only just over. So they carry on banging away. So 12 minutes, and Tricky is off down the left wing this time. He goes past 3 players. He puts in a brilliant cross, and it only needed a toe to touch it, and that would have been a goal. But it went straight across the face, and nobody quite got to it. That was a shame. So, yeah, the first 15 minutes was all Bath, apart from a couple of quick counters, which completely fizzled out for Hemel. But it carried on after that. 16 minutes, Hemel defender, left back, decides to play it back to his keeper. It's just as well the keeper was awake, because he only just got it before the striker came in. It was a real hospital pass, that one. So 17 minutes, Tricky is on it again. Another brilliant cross, and again, nobody in the right place for Bath to capitalise on it. Carrying on, 24 minutes, and we have a rare break from Hemel. They got at the other end. They actually caused the keeper to save the ball. But the striker followed through and took the keeper out in the process and got a yellow card. So, bit of a disaster. So the first half hour is mostly Bath playing football and Hemel playing lump it and run. And number 7, Tricky, is very good. So just after the half hour, he's off down the left wing again. And this time he is absolutely side down by the right back. Referee waves play on. I mean, it was definitely a yellow, if not a red card tackle. It was horrendous. And the referee just waved play on. Okay. You wonder about refereeing? Well, there you go. To be honest, she was actually a very good referee for most of the game, but there was 1 or 2 decisions, and that was one of them, which was horrendous. Anyway, Bath carried on banging on the door. They had another cross came in. Header was literally inches past the post. Hemel carried on with their Route 1 stuff and weren't getting anything out of that. So half-time, all square, 0-0. I found out the name of the Tricky winger. His name is Ewan Clark. He's on loan from Bristol City. And he is very, very good. Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, he played a couple of seasons ago. He played for Oxford City, and that's where Bristol picked him up from because he had an amazing season. And he's out on loan at Bath and doing very, very well. Apparently, talking to the fans, they've got another player called Jordan Thomas who plays on the other wing, and they picked him up from 2 steps below. And they say, well, he won't be playing. He may have come from 2 steps below, but he won't be playing this level next season. He's on his way up. So he's another good player to look out for. Anyway, half time, really nice burger. No pepper for the Bovril. No points. There we go. Boo. Second half kicks off, and it's all Bath again. Absolutely banging on the door. With absolutely nothing to show for it. They're just getting all these crosses coming across, nobody in there. Just after the 65th minute, Bath claim a penalty. Referee's right this time. It would have been a very harsh decision to give them a penalty. Barely, well, it looked like the defender got the ball. If anything, the Bath striker dived and should have been on a yellow. But there's more solid Bath attacks, more times when they should have scored, more times when just missing the post or just over. I mean, it wasn't down to the Hemel keeper that they weren't scoring. They just weren't getting them on target. 78th minute, finally Hemel decided to turn up. And
Hey.
2 corners in a row. I mean, that's sustained pressure. So, and then
Yeah.
for the last 10 minutes, it was frenetic. It was up and down the pitch
Yeah.
like blooming yo-yos. One team, then the other, and backwards and forwards, but nobody could actually do anything with it. At 93rd minute, Hemel could have won it at the death, completely against the run of play, but it actually took a deflection in the box and went over. And that was it. Finished 0-0.
That was
My
it.
third 0-0 of the season. By far the best 0-0 of the season. It was a really, really entertaining match. But I just don't know
Yeah.
how Bath didn't win it.
Yeah, one of them nights for Bath by the sounds of things.
It was, absolutely. You can see why they're near the top, and Hemel are definitely mid-table. So.
Yeah. Yeah. You say your third 0-0 this season. What would you run of 0-0s, no 0-0s before that?
Before that, I had done 175 games over 7 seasons with no 0-0s. And then
Okay, you
this
got
season,
3
I've
this
now had
season.
3 of them. 3 of them this season, yeah.
Yeah, that's still going though. 175 games with no 0-0s. I mean, I know
It
that
was.
you groundhog a lot, so you don't always watch the same team. So
No.
your odds are reduced of seeing a 0-0 to that extent.
Yeah, I'm watching non-league football. There's usually goals, but
Yeah, even watching TV, I think over the last 2-3 seasons, there's potentially been 2 0-0s and one the very first game of this season. So yeah,
so yeah. So you
yeah,
were out last night as well. Tibby again, wasn't it? No, well, it wasn't Tibby again
it
because you didn't
was.
see them on
Well,
Saturday.
it
So
wasn't TV again. It was TV at last.
yeah,
um, yeah, still haven't played a league game since mid-October. All we've done since then is cup games. Last night was another cup game. Midland League Cup third round against Bewley Town. Um, pretty convincing win for Tibby in the end. Let's just leave it at that. That was, started quick. To be fair to Bewley, the game started quick. They had a couple of half chances early on. I couldn't quite see who it was, but it looked for all the world as though the forward was about to get a shot away, and Beachy and goal would have been in a bit of trouble. It was one because of how close it was. But the defenders made a brilliant challenge to stop that. We went close from a corner, and then I think it was 9 minutes around that mark. We took the lead from a corner. Joe Hawkins with a header at the back post. Really didn't seem to like corners. We'd caught issues from the couple before, and we've carried on causing issues from corners from the rest of the night. Not a particularly big side, Bewley, so that could help Joe. I mean, Joe Hawkins is massive. He's as tall as me, and he's built pretty well as well, so he should be dominating in the air. So yeah, then after that, it was pretty much all Tibby. All the lead through Tyler Townsend with a bicycle kick.
yeah.
I don't know what it is with Tyler. He doesn't score boring goals. Yeah. He doesn't score tap-ins or anything. They're always top class finishes, and there was another one last night. So yeah, and then 3-0 came just after the half-hour mark. Didn't see it properly. I was in the process of moving all the programs out of the way, and that just put away and came back out and just saw the ball at the back of the net. But it was Lewis Wright scored that one, who's a newest addition to the squad. I think it's his second game. But very solid performance, very good. Dominated the midfield. So impressed and got his goal. So yeah, 3-0 at half time. Not much to show for Bewley, really. I won't say I'm disappointed in Bewley because they're bottom of the league. They've got 4 points, 3 of which they got from beating us in the league 4-1. uh, yeah, and they've got no budget.
Right.
So, and when I say they have no budget, they have no budget. I don't think the players get paid. I think they get expenses covered, and that's it. So yeah, they're in a very difficult position. Second half, it was again. It started quick. Teardale were 4-0 up straight away. Again, I didn't see it. I was coming out of the hospitality room. It was that quick. But I believe it was from a corner. If not a corner, it was a free kick because everybody was in the one box. So, and that was Cody Mullen who scored. But yeah, then after that, the game just kind of got into a rhythm of Teardale not really pushing anymore because the game was done. It was over.
Yeah.
Beardley, in all fairness, when they kept going, they played football in terms of they weren't just lumping it forward when they got the ball to get the ball away from the goal. They were trying to play football, so fair play to them in that sense. And in the last 10 minutes or so, they did wake up a little bit. I'll say they woke up. They never went to sleep. I think it was more the case of Tivy knew they'd won. They sat back a little bit, eased off a bit, even more than they already had after going 4 up, and just allowed Bewley to get a couple of chances. Tim Beach in goal. Beachy pulled off a good save. Not a fantastic save, but a good save considering he had nothing to do all game. Did well to keep his concentration and keep it out. But yeah, that's how it finished, 4-0, and into the quarterfinal of the Midland League Cup we go. Don't know when the draw is, so don't know who we've got yet. But a good performance. A lot of players who wouldn't normally get so many minutes got a good run out.
That's good.
So that was good as well because it's now giving Stu something to think about going forward. Okay, they've had a good game. Can I drop them? Or they're giving me something to think about as if they're not performing so well. And now giving me the confidence
He
to
knows where he's
bring
got the
them on.
backup, hasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So good performance. It's hard to say how good a performance it was because, like I said, with Bewley's position and where they are, but it was professional. I think is the best word to describe it.
Yeah. Excellent.
I think it helped that they stuffed us in this season because it could easily have turned up with the mindset of these are bottom of the league, we're going to walk over them, even though it's a good game.
Yeah.
But we didn't. That was good.
Good. Turned up and actually played. Exactly. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that basically wraps up the match reports for this week, doesn't it? So
It does, yeah.
yeah. So you did mention earlier that it's international weekend. This is where non-league clubs traditionally get a little bit more of a crowd because sometimes some of the top league teams, obviously they're not playing. There's no Premier League. There's no Championship. There was mostly League One, and there was even games postponed in League Two because of the international break. I know Oxford United certainly were actually actively telling all their fans to go and support Kidlington, a local team in Step 4, I think they are. I don't know how much of that actually worked because their attendance at the weekend at Kidlington was 161. So I don't know whether that's more than usual or less than usual or what. But so
yeah, I don't know what Darlow's attendance was, but it was a very wet afternoon, so I think that could have had a bit of an effect as well. It wasn't rammed, but it wasn't quiet. But Darlow have the potential for massive crowds anyway. There's been times for a league game they've had 1,200 turn up, 800 turn up, just off the cuff. So they do get big crowds occasionally, but there was over 100 at Darlow easily, which is probably about average for them. But like I say, it was teaming down around most of the day.
Yeah. No, so that got me thinking about non-league teams and how some non-league teams. Well, the thing that really got me thinking about this is the under-17 World Cup's going on over in Indonesia at the moment. And in the England
Yes.
squad is a guy called Ted Curd. And he's a
Yeah.
goalkeeper. And he's actually currently playing for #United in the Isthmian League.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's actually there
Yeah, I
on
saw that.
loan from Chelsea, but he is actively playing for a non-league club at the moment. And he's out there representing England under 17s at the World Cup. And I thought that's a good story. In fact, I think it's probably been featured in the paper recently as well. Certainly, I've seen it
Yeah.
on social medias. But it got me thinking about other non-league players that actually represent their countries, and there's actually quite a lot. So I
Mhm.
haven't looked at every country, but I've certainly had a look around. At Chelmsford City, there's a guy called
Yeah.
Jazzy Barnum Bob, who is in the latest St Vincent and the Grenadines squad. At
Hello.
Ebbsfleet, we've got Dominic Polion, who is representing St Lucia. So
Dominic
that's
Polion, he
another
played in
one.
the Football League, didn't he?
I believe he probably did at some point. Yeah.
Was it Wigan
We've
or
got
something?
we've got a guy at Torquay United called Dylan De Silva, represents Sri
Mhm.
Lanka, and another
Okay.
player. I can't remember. Marvin Hamilton also represents Sri Lanka. He's playing for a club called FC Baresi. But I don't know which division they're in because I can't find any information on them. You've got a
Okay.
couple of players playing for Pakistan, Otis Khan at
Mm.
Grimsby and Imran Kayari at Whitehawk. So
Yeah.
that's good. And then the thing I really noticed was the latest Bermuda squad. Now, I don't know if that's for this set of internationals or
Mhm.
whether it was in March. A squad of 22 players, 11 of them playing in English non-league football. Half their
Yeah.
squad in English non-league football.
Yeah.
Teams such as Hereford, Hartley Wintney, Kings Lynn, Droylsden, Barwell, Boston, Braintree, Altrincham. Yeah, so that's really, really good. So there's not one team that seems to have lots of internationals, so there's no reason for any of these non-league teams to request postponement. But you think about it, these will be
Yeah.
some of the best players at those clubs, and they're
Oh,
playing a
yeah,
week
100%.
game without one of their best players. So it will affect them
Mm.
slightly, but not a great deal. It's just really interesting. I'm thinking, where do the scouts for these countries get this information from? Because, I mean, to turn up a match at Droylsden, for example, when you're
Yeah.
scouting for the Bermuda national team, it's
Yeah.
they've got some very good networks out there to find these players.
Yeah. 100%. Um, It'd be interesting to see who the managers are of some of those countries. The only reason I say that is purely because obviously we goalkeeper at Liverpool is Lewis Connor, which is Terry Connor's son. Um, yeah, Terry Connor, obviously Mick McCarthy's number 2 for many years. Gone with him everywhere. Ipswich, Wolves, Cyprus. I don't know if he was with him when he was at Ireland. He might not have been with him there, but generally
Right.
he's been with him. He was with him at Blackpool last year.
Yeah.
But coming towards the end of last season, he was offered the manager's job for one of the Caribbean islands. I want to say Barbados. I could be wrong with that.
That'd be a good thing to get, wouldn't it?
So yeah, his roots are linked back to that island, so it does make sense. And I'm trying to remember where it was. It could have been Barbados, but I've also got St Kitts and Nevis in my head. I could be completely wrong. I'll have to ask Lewis the next time I see him.
But yeah,
In
you're
fact, I
right.
think
There are
Terry's over at the
certainly
minute. So
there's certainly coaching staff at some of these countries, both in Asia and the Caribbean, that have got links to English non-league football over the years. Certainly,
Yeah.
and it's a nice little thing, nice little interest situation for the clubs to say, we got an international player. So
yeah, 100%, definitely. Anything else international wise that you found, or was
no,
that
that
pretty
was
much
it
it?
really. I ran out of time. I was going to try and do every country, but I mean, you did mention a guy at Russian Olympic who has represented Gibraltar in the past. What's his name? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but he's not in the current squad and hasn't been for about 4 or 5 years. But he has definitely represented Gibraltar. So yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I know about him is because he was playing for Sporting Kansas a few years ago.
Right.
When they were Step 5, and he scored a hat-trick of penalties against Stevenage. Which is unique, because you don't usually get 3 penalties in the game for the same team, for the same player to step up and take all 3 and score all 3 is unusual as well.
No.
But he was playing for Gibraltar then. And currently Russian Olympic my team on Football Manager, and he keeps getting called up for Gibraltar, so just stupidly assumed he was still playing for them. Yeah. So yeah, that wraps up the internationals. Just quickly before we move on to the news, I did notice it was FA Trophy weekend, as you said, with Nuneaton and Banbury. Quite a few upsets from what I've seen on the front of the paper. 16 upsets. And when they say upsets, I think they're just classing teams from lower leagues beating teams in higher leagues. I know Worcester would beat Hemel Hempstead. So that's Step 4 beating Step 2, is it, Hemel Hempstead?
Yeah. Also, Macclesfield, Step 4 beat Alfreton, Step 2, so that was another one. Nantwich, Step 4 beat Chester, Step 2 on penalties. So yeah, there were some big clubs knocked out.
Yeah, I think Mickle over beat Spennymoor as well, off the top of my head. And Stowbridge got over
Step 3, so.
Yeah. So yeah, a few upsets in that, but I didn't really look into that too much. Just had a quick look over.
Yeah.
So that brings us on to this week / last week's news. Current events. Biggest news, I suppose, in non-league football, which is broke today, involves Horsham, which we're speaking about Horsham for the 3rd week in a row.
Yeah.
And we're speaking about an FA Cup tie for a 3rd week in a row. As a football league club, Barnsley managed somehow to field an ineligible player.
Yep. And as a result, they have now been kicked out of the competition and Horsham reinstated.
Yeah. If it had been the other way around, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I kind of get that. You expect admin errors occasionally from non-league clubs. But to get one from a football league club is pretty rare. I know they do.
Yeah, I think the rule states that you're not allowed to field a player who wasn't available for you in the original game.
The original
and they had a player who was on loan at York when the first game was played, came back to the club, so they started the replay. But because he'd been away at York for the first game, he wasn't allowed to start in the replay, and that's where the problem lies. So,
yeah. Like I say, if that had been Horsham, you'd go, okay, fair enough. But you think Barnsley would employ someone who would know that?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, player registration and eligibility is a bit of a minefield, certainly at non-league level, because they move around so much and such like. But for Barnsley to make that sort of error is pretty rare for a club of that standing.
Yeah,
but it's all good for Horsham.
It is, yes, another home tie. So not going to make a difference, because if it was away, they'd get out receipts anyway. But yes, Sutton United at home on the 2nd of December. Sutton United, I believe, are they League 2? League 2 now, Sutton.
They're League 2 now, yeah.
They are, so another football league club for them. On paper, an easier game than the last round, but no game's an easy game, especially in the FA Cup. So, yeah. But yes, every possibility they could get a result and see themselves into the 3rd round and potentially bag that all-elusive away dream of the away tie at a Premier League club.
Yeah. Hopefully they can try, can't they?
Yeah. They've got
a chance. So.
Yeah. The only downside really is because it's only just happened and only just been reinstated. They've missed out on the potential of being on TV, because obviously those have already been decided.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but I suppose there is still the possibility that either ITV or BBC could choose it for extended highlights, which is a little bit more money. So
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, and again,
and
the
they'll
chance
get
of a
prize
replay
money
could
even
also get televised.
if they lose. They get a bit more prize money as well. So
Yeah, and interesting question that I saw on Twitter earlier said, "What happens to the prize money from the last round?" There, which I don't actually know because, as far as I'm aware, it's paid immediately. So whether Barnsley will
yeah,
give that back and then it goes to Horsham.
no. I
Or,
mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because Barnsley did
yeah,
win the match. They cheated to do it. So yeah, should switch it
yeah,
over really. So,
yeah.
mm.
Uh,
What else was in there? I saw there was a couple of big wins at the weekend in Northern Premier League, East Division 1 East. Stockton managed to beat Belper 7-1. That was a
ooh,
bit of a cracking result. Another big
yeah.
one was Malvern 6, Bashley 0. Those are the biggest results I found in the paper this week. So
Okay, no, fair enough. Didn't really look at. Stepping away from the men's game, biggest result of the weekend was a 31-0 win for Sporting Kelsa. Women.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
yeah, we laugh. We shouldn't laugh. But it's not often you see a 31-0 scoreline. But just
no,
shows still I think the level of investments at women's football at lower levels still isn't quite there.
mm, no.
Um, there's a big gap between the steps in women's football. Once you get outside of it's a championship, isn't it? I think you got the Super League and the
Yeah,
Championship,
yeah,
and then there's a massive step then I think between the levels. So yeah,
yeah.
but by far the biggest result of the weekend was that 31-0 scoreline.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't recall seeing any other big scores this week.
No, there weren't that many. So,
No.
mhm.
One thing I picked up and I sent the interview to you from Tiverdale's opponents in the Vase the week before, Shirebrook Town. They were back in league action. Obviously, as I got from speaking to the chairman the week before, they're pushing to get out to step 6
Yeah,
and spending some money in the process.
yeah.
So they were back in league action against Horbury and they lost 5-1.
Oh dear.
That was a big score in all fairness. Um,
So are the wheels coming off then at Shirebrook?
I don't think the wheels are coming off. I think the new chairman has been in the role for 10 months.
Right.
So this is going to be his first full season.
Yes.
I think there's a bit of an unrealistic expectation, not so much from the chairman, but potentially from some of the supporters.
Right.
We've got money, it's step 6, we'll throw money at it and we'll get promoted.
Mm.
You can't just throw money at football to win.
No,
You've still got to do it right.
that's it.
I think, as we saw a little bit from the interview after the game with us, and certainly from the interview from the weekend, there's a little bit of I've put it down as an air of arrogance, not from
Uh-huh.
the club, not from the club,
Yeah.
but from the supporters,
Right.
thinking we're spending all this money, we should be winning everything. And like I've just said, you can't just throw money at it and expect results overnight. I mean, look at Man City. It took them
Yeah.
9-10 years after being taken over to get their first trophy. Well, I don't know if it was the first trophy, to get the first Premier League anyway. So it doesn't happen overnight at non-league level, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it can happen overnight. It does happen sometimes, and it happens more than it does in the professional game, but it still takes time. And I just found the interview as somebody who's been both sides, as a supporter and on the coaching staff. Some of the questions that were fired at the assistant manager, I mean, well, even a statement. The first, it started with where was it? The interviewer saying to the assistant manager, "We were told after last week's loss at Civil that you'd be training twice this week. You didn't. This is the response we get, as in the performance."
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, I understand you've been told you train. They would train twice, but unfortunately the weather didn't allow that.
No.
And the assistant manager handled the interview really well, and fair play to him, turned around and said, "Well, yeah, that was the plan, but unfortunately, we've got to protect the pitch."
Yeah.
If they had trained twice, yes, they're away this week, but he could have messed the pitch up for the week after.
Yep.
Had trained twice, and then next week's game is called off. They turn around and say, "Well, you shouldn't have trained twice."
Yeah.
Um,
Can't win.
so
You've got to remember
you
these
can't-
players are part-time. They can't just drop everything to train. They've got their set training nights, and to
Yep.
put extra training in is something they've
Yep.
got to work at.
Yeah, 100%. And then he went on to say, "We keep persisting with playing." Sorry, this is the interviewer again, so the fan, the media man, the fan. "Why do we keep playing midfielders in defence? Why haven't you gone out and signed a defender?" The assistant again handled it well, because if it had been me that asked that question, I know exactly what I would have said. It would have been along the lines of, well, it would have been, well, okay, yeah, I can sign a defender tomorrow, but it doesn't mean he's going to be any good.
Mm.
Which is what he came back with, saying the people who've played in that position, yes, it's not their natural position, but they can play there, they can do a job. We are trying to sign a defender, but we want the right person for the team. We're not just going out to sign anybody.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and Shirebrook are obviously getting a bit of flack for it on social media because it's on their account.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, spoke to the chairman. He was a nice guy, got on with him. Spoke to a couple of members of the management team when they were at Tiverdale, got on with him, absolutely sound. Majority of the supporters were fine, but there was just that little bit, because obviously we beat them and they were saying, "Oh, worst performance of the season." That's what they come up again with this weekend. That was our worst performance of the season. And it's just that little section of the supporters that just seem to think that they're the best team, and they know better, and they should be doing this and they should be doing that. And I just think it's a bit, not nice, and it creates a bit of a hostile environment, even though it's only a small number. It creates a hostile environment, and it can very quickly, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was in response, but I noticed the next night, the chairman did an interview, a 4-part interview. It was only like 4 2-minute videos, so it wasn't very long. Just saying what he expects. He's been there for 10 months. There's still some changes he wants to make, but from where they've come, from where they are, from where they come from, is obviously massive. So I think he's kind of reset the expectations a little bit of, yes, we do want to get to step 6. But as we say, it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Be an interesting story to watch the rest of the season, that one. So.
Yes. Yeah. Just while we're on, I know they're step 5, but winning things. Farnham Town, I believe, is still 100% record.
You know, I haven't looked at them recently. Hold on, Combined Counties South, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Something
I'm
like
sure that if they played the weekend, I'm sure they would. I think it was the Vars they played in the weekend. I think they were called off the week before.
Farnham Town table as of the 19th of November, played 12, won 12.
Which is still the same as our first week.
Yeah,
but
I don't think they played in the league since.
Yeah, I think they were in the Vars on the weekend, which I'm sure they won 2-0 or 2-1. Yeah. So yeah, still keeping an eye on them, still 100%.
Yep.
Which brings us nicely on to another team that's got big expectations in Bridgewater United.
Oh, Bridgewater United, yes. Yes, or they've done the dirty on their manager, haven't they? Allegedly.
I don't know about it done the dirty. I think if it had been a crime that had been committed, it had been the worst crime you could think of imaginable. So yeah, they have parted ways with their manager after 7 years. Manager was Dave Pierce. Yeah,
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. So the statement was, it's been after 7 years and the club has not achieved promotion. Although the results have been good, the 3 losses costing the club 9 points and over £10,000 in costs are not acceptable to new owner Ian Davis. He feels that new blood is needed to give the club the push it needs, and the new manager that was appointed is Andy Llewellyn, who was the assistant manager to Dave Pearce. The father to vice captain Jake Llewellyn and midfielder Tom Llewellyn. And Andy's job is to pull back the 9 points lost and get back on the promotion path.
So this is Bridgewater United, currently second in their division, 1 point behind the leaders.
Yep.
And the chairman says he wants new blood and yet replaces the manager with the assistant manager who was there anyway. So where's the new blood?
Yep. What I also find interesting in that statement is he said that the new job's manager is to get back the 9 points. I'm like, how can you get back 9 points? He's already lost.
Yeah, they're gone. They won't get them back.
They're gone. And
can't get them back. And how do 3 losses cost a team £10,000?
Exactly what I was about to say. I didn't realise there was prize money for winning league games.
Even if it was travelling costs, if you travel and win or travel and lose, the travel costs the same.
Yeah. The only thing I can assume is it's players' expenses in terms of wages and whatever else. But again, regardless, it's going to cost you the same as whether that's at home or away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
bit of a strange one. Because
strange statement. Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, a second behind Helston by 1 point.
Yeah.
Yes, Clevedon, I think it is in third place. They've got 2 games in hand, so if they win them both, they go 5 points clear.
Yeah.
But that's still only the need to pull back 6 points. Not all 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the strangest thing, as you say, is we need new blood, but we're going to promote the assistant who's already there.
Yeah.
So
there is no new blood, yes.
Yeah, you would imagine he's already advising and having his input, so...
Yeah.
All seems a little bit weird. But I saw somewhere, I don't know if it's the same person, as somebody asked the question on Twitter. I didn't actually see an official answer. Somebody said, is this the same Ian Davis that's currently serving a 9-match stadium ban for abusing an official? And I think abusing officially physically stormed onto the pitch and verbally a barrage of assaults and the official.
But it appears that the new manager has a checkered past as well, according to some statements.
Really?
He was part of a gang that used information from Royal Mail to rob houses where people were on holiday.
I believe he's also an ex-professional footballer, isn't he? Didn't he play for
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is verifiable fact that he was arrested and charged because he was working for Royal Mail and passing this information on to a gang that then went and robbed houses. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I suppose, one to keep an eye on to see if he can, 1, get the 9 points back, and 2, what happens to Bridgewater at the end of the season. Do they manage to get the promotion or not? But they're in a very useful position for that time for where they are anyway. Like I say, 1 point off the top. Yes, you could say they're potentially 5 points off the top, but Cleveland might lose those games in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one, that one. Anyway, so Yeah, and good news for Scunthorpe United. It looks like they've exchanged contracts on the ground, Glanford Park, so they could be moving forward again, which is good news for them. Finish on a positive note, eh? So,
Yep, and Nuneaton, a bit more positive news from them this week. The money raised from their home game, their game at the neutral ground of Stratford, I think they used, managed to
right.
raise enough finances for them to be able to play the 2 games last week.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, the prize money from the trophy is enabling them to continue this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping to re-enter talks with the landlord to get back to their stadium. Don't know how fruitful they'll be. They said if they fail, they will then look at a ground share, but that's not their preferred option. And also mentioned that there has been several offers to take over the club, but it doesn't say if they're being considered or not.
Right. Good then.
Yeah. So yeah, looks like a little bit of good news to end on.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, where are you going this Saturday?
Actually not anywhere Saturday. Yeah, it's my birthday Saturday, so we're
Yeah.
2.5 hours away at Stone. And when I was asked where I sat down, I said Stone. The question was, how far is that? And I was like, fair distance. And she was like, oh, okay, do you not want me to go this weekend? And she's like, no. So whether something's been planned for me this Saturday, I don't know.
Oh well, hopefully
Stands
it
a good
has.
chance it wouldn't be my
Anyway,
birthday. We could be going.
you'll have to find a game Tuesday instead then. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we've got Walsall next Tuesday, so that
okay.
should be a good one. Hopefully, big crowd, get everyone down, get some money in the bank. That's what we need.
Brilliant, excellent. I know Saturday I'm going.
Yeah.
I haven't decided yet, but somewhere around the Oxford area because I'm going off to that sort of part of the world. So I shall see what's on and drop into a game Saturday afternoon with a bit of luck and see what
Yep.
happens.
As long as it's not online only, you're going to buy it the day before.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. So yeah, so we'll reconvene next Wednesday and see what we've got. Or thereabouts. Sometime
Yep,
next week
definitely.
anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, most likely
All right.
Wednesday. If I'm on Tuesday, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye bye.